I think we'll leave parking and go to Jesse Jennings and Kevin Roy.
Evening, Select Board.
He's what?
Evening.
Oh, good evening. Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
Good. So the reason why I'm here tonight and to talk to you about House Bill 177. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this bill. Basically, what this bill is, it prohibits the siting of new landfills, excluding expansions of existing landfills near state parks. And the verbiage of it is no permit shall be issued by the department, which is the state, for the siting of a new landfill other than on property owned by the state, one or more municipalities, or a solid waste management district, if any part of the actual solid waste disposal area is proposed to be located within 2 miles of the boundary of any state park. And this is in reference to the planning to build a new landfill in the town of Dalton, which it abuts by a state forest. I brought on Kevin Roy to better explain the bill and how this is going to affect pretty much the state. Kevin, are you on?
I am. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Jesse did a pretty good job of summing it up. If you do not know, we have been, coming up to the end of life with North Country Environmental Services. We did receive our Stage 6 permit, which will provide the public benefit or disposal needs up until 2026. But because of the efforts, the failed efforts in town to get a zoning change to expand NCS, Casella had gone out and put a little bit more effort into Plan B, which would be to site a new facility. And when I say we started that effort a long time ago, it took basically a 5-year study to look throughout the state to see where we could possibly and where there would be a viable piece of land to site a landfill. There's a very long list of siting criteria for a green site. Probably why there hasn't been a green site cited, this side of the Mississippi in 3 decades. So from that process, we picked 4 pieces of property. We got on those pieces of property and started really boiling down all the siting criteria, wetlands, access to roads, all those things that you need to do, power lines. And we ended up in Dalton. And then from that point, we then started doing the geotechnical work, meaning drilling wells, identifying wetlands, doing all the scientific stuff you would need to have to present actual applications for those types of permits. So in reality, we've been in this process for 8 years now. We've been on that site for going on 4 years. We have 2 years of groundwater analysis and elevation data. We have our solid waste permit submitted. We have a wetlands permit submitted. We have a DOT permit submitted. We have a release detection groundwater permit on the shelf, ready to go. We have a Title V EPA permit on the shelf, ready to go. So we're well into this process. And then they bring up this bill, as Jesse mentioned, that pretty much targets this project. A municipality can put a landfill on this piece of property, but we could not. So it's really a land use issue, and we believe this is like spot zoning. So what we're asking is just for help from any municipality to let the state and let the process and the rules and regulations that are in place to do a job. If this site doesn't meet the criteria, if we can't engineer it or meet the specific rules that are on the books, the permits will not be granted and the project won't go forward. To create a buffer, currently the buffer is 400 feet to a residential area. And they want 2 miles to a piece of property that not even habited. And to a state park, to a state park, if you know, State Forest Lake or Forest Lake is not the state park. The state park has a little beach, a little area, and then it's basically a forest area. As you know, North Country is right up bordering the National Forest. The site up in Success, which is called Carberry, they're less than half a mile from the Appalachian Trail. If you draw a circle around any other facility in the state of New Hampshire, they're in populated areas. Take Lebanon, they're within 2 miles, they're within the entire town. So we believe this bill was targeted. It was in committee in the Senate, committee in the House. It came out of committee to be not brought to vote. It was brought to the floor, and through some maneuvering, it actually passed the House. Today, it was in the Senate hearings. There was about 50 people testifying on both sides, and it could. They won't vote. I don't think they're going to vote on that in the committee till another 10 days or 2 weeks. And depending on what happens in that committee, obviously it goes to the vote in the floor of the Senate. It doesn't mean if it comes out of committee in favor of defeating, it still doesn't mean it won't pass again like it did to the House. And then of course it would go on to the governor. So at this stage, any support or anything we can get, we're finding that the senators are responding very well to hearing from municipalities, businesses, and just people that are in the industry, understanding how hard it is to permit and develop capacity, and understand what taking more capacity offline will do to municipalities, businesses, and to the state as a whole. The cost of disposal will increase. The availability of disposal will be, shipping will now become an exporter, and transportation costs will go up. All those things. There's studies and data for all those things if you guys need more information, because we had some independent work done on the economic impacts that it would have on the state as a whole. But Jesse could speak to that, what it would mean if he didn't have a place to take it, and there's only 2 landfills remaining that are already at capacity. If you look at the current disposal capacity in the state, we're going to be out, and there'll be a shortfall when we close in the next 6 or 7 years, and then the next 10 years, we're starting to talk about 2 million cubic yards, 2 million tons, of shortfall capacity. That's it, pretty much in a quick nutshell. I could speak to you if you have any questions specific to what I just said.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roy and Jesse. Any comments from the board?
I have a question. Is the town of Dalton in favor of this bill?
The current select board is not friendly. There was a lot of supporters in town, but currently the current board has chosen not. We have made a generous offer to the town, and they have chosen not to speak with us at this time. So currently we are not having any negotiations, discussions on host community. Their stance was that currently we don't have the permits, it's not a facility, and they will wait until this develops more. But to your point, it is not a friendly board to the project.
Is Joyce still on? Yeah, she is. Joyce, would you care to make any comments?
I am on, and I have to say, with all due respect to Kevin Roy, we got an enormous number of emails in support of HB177. The problem is that we live in the North Country, where the national forests and the state parks are really That is our lifeblood. And we cannot put, we're talking about a buffer zone to those precious places. There's a lot of land left in New Hampshire. Those are not the only places you can put waste. There's got to be some other place you can put it. And I understand your issue. I understand the pressure that you're under. But to put it right next to a national park or a state park seems short-sighted, because those are the places that bring in a lot of income for the northern country. That's what we live off of. And I can't tell you how many emails we got from the people. It's not just the select board in Dalton. I think we heard from just about every resident in the area. We heard from everybody. So it was a really dramatic moment at the end of our 3-day session when they pulled that bill out. We just let a lot of bills, 80 some bills, die that day, but pulled out that one bill because it was so important to the state of New Hampshire to not let this happen. It would not be good for the state to destroy our land that way by putting waste disposals right next to our most precious parts of the state. So I'm sorry, Kevin, I just really disagree with you on that. There's got to be some other place you can find.
Thank you, Representative. Any comments from our board? Any further comments? Are you looking for a motion from the board, or?
I'm looking for a motion for the board to raise our concerns as, the town of Plymouth. The facility is not being built now and not ready by the time these other facilities close. The amount of money that needs to be appropriated just to get rid of waste from the town is going to be very substantial. And I wanted to bring that up to your attention. We have only a few more years before this happens.
Right, and
I'll offer a motion.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the Plymouth Select Board support the passage of House Bill 177.
All right, Neil moved. Is there a second? I'll ask one more time. Is there a second for the motion? No. There's no second to the motion. Is there another motion? Or just... just to suggest a motion might be we neither support or oppose this project.
Doesn't an absence of a motion say that exact thing?
Why is it?
What they have asked for is for the board to help defeat the New Hampshire House Bill 177.
Okay.
And I guess the question would be of the board, are you willing to
Well, Zach pretty much kind of...
Well, that's what, but Casella is asking for that specifically.
Okay, well,
as long as he knows that.
We had one board member seek to support passage and no second, so no further motion to either oppose or support. So therefore, Mr. Roy, we will not provide you support for the legislative process.
Understood, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
No problem. Have a good night.
All right. Next we have